Silko. And the name of the book is The Turquoise Ledge, a Memoir. Welcome.
Thank you.
And is this your first trip to the Miami Book Fair?
No, I was here about 20 years ago.
20 years ago. What do you think now?
It's huge, but it's wonderful, and everyone's happy, and it's great to see so many book lovers.
And where you live in Arizona?
Tucson.
Tucson, Arizona. I was
Yeah.
beginning to read your book. I have not finished it. Could you give us an understanding of why turquoise is considered so special and sacred?
Well, it varies from tribe to tribe, but in the Southwest, and I think you could say in the West, in North America and South America, turquoise is connected with water and rain, and so much of the West is sort of a desert. Um, and I, so that's why I think that's one of the reasons that it's highly prized.
It represents water, and I think that as I was reading it, there's the green turquoise and the more the aqua blue.
Right. There's actually a continuum in terms of the chemistry of the mineralogy of turquoise and copper and chrysocolla. Chrysocolla is technically what it is that I find in the Big Arroyo when I'm walking. But if if the process, which takes place near to the surface of the earth, if it no, there's some kind of interference here. But um, the it's a continuum, and you need certain ingredients, and they're found in copper-bearing ores. So turquoise often occurs in conjunction with copper, and the Tucson Mountains, where I live in, are part of that sort of mineralogical structure that can make copper or chrysocolla or turquoise.
And as you're traveling through this memoir, as I'm following you through the pages, you're finding pieces of turquoise here and there. What is the significance of that?
Well, when I first started out walking, taking the walks, as I mentioned, it was supposed to be a cardiovascular workout, and so I've never been able to sit on on one of those machines or do anything like that. I need some sort of interest or focus, and so when I started my walks, being on the lookout for these pieces of turquoise stone or turquoise colored stone, since some of them aren't technically real turquoise, that became the focus of the walk. And also, it became a larger metaphor for the unexpected beauty, unexpected things that one does not expect. And also, too, I noticed that sometimes I would walk past a certain spot and see nothing, and then the following day find a big piece of turquoise rock, and so there was a sort of mystery connected with these pieces of stone I was finding.
I think there was a place where you found one in I think indoors, like inside of a closet or something like that.
Yes, once I started paying attention to these pieces of turquoise stone, then they would sometimes occur in the house inexplicably, and so there was a sort of magic for me connected with them, and it's still there. There's still some unexplained appearances of turquoise, so I thought that was so that became part of the focus of the book.
Also, while I was reading, the intermingling of the natural world, the spirit world, the animals coming as a messenger. Can you give a few examples of that in the book and the meaning for those of us who are not familiar with your culture, the meaning of that?
Well, it isn't the notion that that someone who you were close to that's died or passed on, the notion that they can somehow, especially right after their deaths, make some sort of contact or symbolic appearance, say in the form of an animal. Now, that's not restricted just to Native American culture. I've had so many people who are not Native Americans or indigenous people come up to me of the people mentioned in that section is the poet James Wright. He and I carried on a correspondence, and we were very close. And not very long after he passed away, a little elf owl came and was very persistent in getting my attention. And this isn't really a natural or ordinary thing for an elf owl, but James Wright had written poems about the Sonoran Desert and owls, and I felt very strongly that this was a sort of special contact. And usually, it's just to reassure the living that everything is okay, and that those who have passed on, they may be gone, but they haven't gone very far.
When someone special in your life passes on, do you anticipate that they're going to reach back to you? Is that pretty common?
No,
No?
no, you can't. I think that if you try to anticipate that sort of thing, and look for it very consciously, then it's less likely to happen, I think. So it's not a question, and it doesn't always happen.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always happen. So, and it can't be forced, and so you never know whether it will or will not happen. One of the instances I mentioned in the Turquoise Ledge is when my first cousin, Lana, uh, uh, she had been ill, um, and then a little cactus wren came
Mm-hmm.
and was sitting by the window, and within a few hours, I received a phone call that she died.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't expecting that at all, but I said to my friend Bill, "Look at that bird. You know, that's not the usual behavior for that bird. That's generally how you tell that the wild animal, the wild creature, behaves in a way that's unusual."
Okay, I understand. As what I was as I was once you began to look for it, then it began to appear. Um, Before, when you were just walking and minding your own business and not thinking about it, you didn't see much of it. And as soon as it became something that you recognized that you valued, it began to appear, unexpectedly.
Exactly. I think that's part of what I've learned. I like to keep learning. I think that even the experience of writing the Turquoise Ledge was kind of a learning experience, but truly that so much of what we're limited, if we don't expand our horizons so that we can be open to finding things and seeing things, then we won't see them. And then once I began to pay attention to it, yes, I began to find the turquoise. And I have an incident later in Turquoise Ledge where one of my blue and gold macaws got loose and flew away, and I was very worried. It was near sundown, and if I didn't find her, I knew the owls or the coyotes would kill her. And so I went searching, and it was late in the afternoon, and it was twilight, a difficult time of day, and my eye, being so trained to pick up on the turquoise stones, um, saw her. I was able to see the blue because the
Mm.
blue of the blue and gold macaw is very
Mm-hmm.
close to some turquoise. And so I found her and saved her life and took her home, all because I had refined my perception for that sort of iridescent blue.
Mm. Very interesting. Very interesting. When I when I began the introduction or one of the write-ups, it was clear that it was a memoir, but it was not necessarily in chronological order. It wasn't starting at the beginning of your life and then moving through to present day. How did you decide how you wanted to write the memoir? How did you decide what parts to keep and what parts not to write?
Well, I've been accumulating notes on my encounters with the desert creatures, the rattlesnakes and the owls and hummingbirds. I had this stack of notes. Also, it was around after my 60th birthday. I decided that if I was ever going to acknowledge the few people in my life that had been helpful, and go over those facts, that I better do it fairly soon while my memory was good. And so I had all of this material, and I decided I wanted to do a sort of hybrid uh, 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 form for the memoir, and so each of most of the little sections can be read. You don't have to read it from beginning to end,
Mm-hmm.
and the incidents that I wanted it to be different. I didn't want it to be like other memoirs, about how I quit smoking or how I made it through the mental institution or something like that. I felt that the memoir as a genre needed to kind of have the boundaries pushed out. So that's what I tried to do, is make a sort of hybrid piece that's different from most memoirs that are published nowadays.
I like the format of it very much. It feels like I'm talking to someone or I'm listening to someone. It's not as if I'm reading someone's diary, the way
Oh, good.
some are written. Yes.
Yeah, no, good. I'm glad it worked for you that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very much so. And the name of it is called The Turquoise Ledge, a memoir by Leslie Marmon Silko. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you, Barbara.
You have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye bye.